Alright, so for starters, let's go over a couple of the weapons that you might want to use. Right here in front of us, I have a explosive laser rifle. Now, these are kind of hard to find, the laser rifles. Explosive automatic weapons are not super hard to find, but as I'm mentioning, that is a good secondary effect? Yeah, secondary effect. To have on any sort of automatic weapon. So keep an eye out for that. As for laser weapons, honestly, the only time it's really worth using a laser weapon is if you have an explosive one. You can do it automatic or semi-auto. I've done a semi-auto laser rifle with this thing, and it was really fun. I killed myself a lot more often than I did with the automatic variant for whatever reason, so yeah, keep that in mind. I'm holding onto this one in hopes that ZOS makes non-explosive, said ZOS, I'm too used to ESO, in hopes that Bethesda makes non-explosive laser rifles actually useful. So yeah, not holding my breath, but that would be nice. However, the reason I have held on to this one is because of this secondary effect right here, the faster fire rate. So those are our two best secondary effects that will increase your damage that you want to look out for. Anything else, it still works, but these two are the best. So keep an eye out for these. Yeah. Those are the two things that you want. As for the actual weapons that you want to use, well, the other one would be a fixer. I actually don't have any good fixers, and I couldn't be bothered to craft one. But a fixer is a modified combat rifle that gives you a bit of a sneak boost. Even if you're not huge on sneaking, it's better than a standard combat rifle. However, in terms of damage production, it is not better than a handmade. Unless you count the fact that it increases your stealth, so you might be able to get more stealth crits, but if you're not much of a stealth crit person, then might as well just use a handmade. Speaking of handmade, here we go. I have a very nice anti-armor, explosive, less VATS cost handmade. Now, because of this less VATS cost thing, all I have to do is slap on a aligned long barrel and a reflex sight, and this thing is free VATS. I literally don't go through any action point in VATS unless it's the natural drain of simply being in VATS, because there is a drain for simply being in VATS, but when I fire, it costs nothing. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I believe you can achieve similar results without this legendary effect. However, you would have to probably do an aligned stock or something else. Any aligned modification will decrease your AP cost. Fun facts. So yeah, that's a handmade rifle. Handmade rifles are pretty good. I am using a Swift magazine rather than a armor-piercing magazine because with armor-piercing effects, there's kind of a diminishing returns thing going on because it's not additive, it's multiplicative, especially because we already have Tank Killer in our perks. So yeah, I went with the faster reload magazine so I can fire more often rather than the slightly more damage. I feel like I'd probably still get roughly the same DPS either way. Also, I heard something about there being a bug and the math is done wrong, but I haven't actually tested that. So keep an eye out on that, but yeah. This is a good handmade rifle. If you can get a bloodied variant of this, that would be awesome, or a junkies variant, then you would be all set for life. Best thing about this is that you can also turn this into a semi-auto, and it is, well, it's still probably one of the best guns in the game because, you know, Bethesda loves their balance. Anyways, that's it in terms of weapons that you might want to look out for and use. There is one more, though, that I wanted to mention, and that is the submachine gun, the 10mm submachine gun. I don't like it because it has no sights. I know some people don't like it because it doesn't have a suppressor, but I think it looks kind of cool. And on top of that, 10mm ammo is kind of cheap, so it's not a bad choice. The recoil is a little high, though. I've used this thing a couple times just to try it out. It's an anti-armor explosive, less weight, so it's actually not that bad in VATS, but it's got a lot of recoil, so I really don't like it. But that is an option. If you find a good one of these, you can use these in a Commando build, and they're not terrible. So yeah. Now that's it for the weapons. You could also use a an automatic plasma weapon, but for some reason, and I actually am not complaining, but this is a plasma flamer. Called it Greek Fire because Greek Fire is green. And even though that this is technically an automatic weapon, because, you know, all you have to do is hold down the, the shoot button and it just fires, it doesn't actually go with automatic perks. It goes with rifleman perks. So yeah, that's a little weird, but if you were hoping to use a plasma flamer with a automatic build, I'm sorry. You can use a rifleman build and then you can use a plasma flamer. So yeah, there you go. Anyways, on to the next segment of content. We're going to go over the perk cards. All right, so right here we have skills. I did a quick Nuke and Dragon setup here. This is my special. You could just do like 0 in strength, but because I tend to have a lot of stim packs, like an excessive amount of stim packs on me, I feel like Traveling Pharmacy is definitely necessary, or else I won't be able to sprint. So yeah, this is the one that you can swap out. Blocker, I like Blocker because I run in guns blazing, so Blocker helps me and not get killed. You can also use something like Bandolier if you have a lot of ammo. So that's kind of your, excuse me, bit of a yawn. That is your flex spot. Now we're going into Perception. This is the main stat that we're spec'd into. So, this is where you could get kind of creative with your particular play style. Because we're using rifles, automatic ones, we want Expert Commando, Tank Killer, Commando, and Master Commando. Now, the area where we have play around is really only 3 special left. So, I do 1 Ground Pounder, because a little bit of hip-fire accuracy is nice, but primarily for the faster reload. Faster reload will increase your DPS because it gives you less downtime. And then I did try doing 1 concentrated fire because I like to be able to aim for the head. That is important to me because that's extra damage. So I tried doing 1 concentrated fire and 2 ground powder, and it just, I felt like I wasn't doing enough headshots. Or if you have absolutely no interest in only a 10% increased reload, because that is relatively inconsequential and small, you could just take out that 1 point of ground pounder and go completely for the maxed out concentrated fire. And honestly, maxed out concentrated fire is pretty nice. So yeah, over in endurance, again, this is where you can do things differently. If you are using a automatic explosive laser rifle, you're probably gonna want to take out Ironclad and replace it with Fireproof because, well, you know, you're gonna be blowing yourself up a lot. Even with Fireproof, you're still gonna do some damage to yourself, and that's also if you're wearing a dense chest. So yeah, there's that. But otherwise, I use Ironclad because that's a nice amount of resistance, and when I'm not in power armor, like currently if we look in game, oh god, I have about 400 ER right here, so yeah, that's nice. 400 is, I feel really squishy with less than 400 for some reason, but yeah. So that's that. You can take this out and replace it with whatever you want. If you just want Fireproof, then you can take out 2 points and put them somewhere else. I don't know where I'd put them, maybe Agility or Luck, possibly even Strength, but here we go. Charisma, Lone Wanderer. So this is kind of a... This is kind of a personal preference thing. I've done only 1 point in Lone Wanderer, and then I've picked, like, the Fast Travel perk or something else. But Lone Wanderer, rank 3, or not rank 3, technically rank 2, but it takes up three spots. So yeah, that's just what you want to use when you're outside of a team. When you are inside of a team, that is kind of up to you what you do. Personally, though, I do... Where is it? Generous, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I do Rad Sponge because Rad Sponge is really helpful. Here it is. When affected by rads, you periodically heal 80 rads on nearby teammates. That's just helpful, especially if you're doing vault raids. Like, oh my god, vault raids. Ugh. I've done Suppressor. I'm honestly not even sure if it works. I feel almost no difference, so I would just avoid this. If I'm in a team, Strange in Numbers, also a good one. Rad Sponge, Strange in Numbers. And then there is the Field Surgeon. This is the one. So, because this takes up 2 spots, you have to kind of choose between Rad Sponge, Strange Numbers, and then this. But, you know, we have 3 total, so we can fit 1 more, as well as doing Field Surgeon. Field Surgeon is really nice because, you know, it just helps you not die. And because we also have this perk, the First Aid perk, it makes a normal stim pack like almost like a super stim pack. It's really, really nice. The other one I like to do, if someone is not using it already in the team, I will do Field Surgeon and Team Medic. I'm not sure if they synergize, but either way, being able to help out your teammates is pretty nice, especially if you're doing something like the Vault Raids, which are going away, but some people still do them. I've done them, they're okay. Alright, intelligence. So, intelligence does actually affect how much XP you gain. So, don't just put 0 points in intelligence. Putting some in intelligence is kind of nice. Regardless of all the other perks, you're going to want to at least put 5 in intelligence for the gunsmith perk. On top of that, demo expert. Now, because I tend to use a automatic explosive handmade rifle, having the extra explosive damage is actually pretty beneficial. It's like 10 extra explosive damage, versus on some other weapons where it's literally like 4 extra explosive damage, and that's just not that effective. So yeah, my handmade has enough durability to not break immediately. Laser rifles, I'm looking at you. So having demo expert is pretty beneficial. Otherwise, you can kind of switch out some stuff if you feel it's necessary, but when I am in combat, I do demo expert and first aid right here. First aid is honestly just like really, really good special point, or not special point, special perk, just because it's like you can use normal Stimpact and you can get a lot of healing out of them. Now, this is, again, a little bit more of a flex spot. Make this go. That was really bothering me. Alright, agility. So, as I mentioned, you could take 2 out of here and just do the fireproof to get the explosive damage reduction, or you could do ironclad like I do. But otherwise, I usually put 10 in agility, maybe 12. As I mentioned, take 2 away, put it here. Adrenaline. So this can be maxed out if you really want, but frankly, having it at just rank 1 is a requirement for a good DPS build. Just having rank 1 of adrenaline is very important. If you have the space and you have the skill points, then go ahead, rank that up. Mine is currently rank 3. I have another one that's rank 1 for if I decide to use pistols, because with pistols I have a hard time fitting a bunch of cards here, so I just do rank 1 adrenaline. White Knight. This is my, what's the right word? Like, economic card? You know, just something to help me not have to repair my gear all the damn time. It's not because I don't want to spend materials fixing stuff. I genuinely don't care, and I typically have enough repair kits. It's just when you go in to a fight, going guns blazing, you tend to take a lot of fire, and taking all that fire will degrade your armor fairly quickly. So this is really just kind of a quality of life perk. White Knight, 3 points. It's pretty helpful. We have room for it. Might as well. I put 1 point in Marathoner because every other point is kind of ineffective because it only adds 20%. So just 1 point, that's 20% reduction versus adding more points, which is, you know, only 10% more. So just 1 in Marathoner helps you get around better. And Action Boy or Girl. If you have, like, if all of your armor pieces are Action Point Refresh, you might not need Action Girl or Boy, whatever. Action Person, we'll call it that. So take that with a grain of salt, but I only have like 2 or 3, so I like having the Action Point Refresh. It's pretty nice. The other stuff that you could consider doing is if you don't use an auto stim chest piece, or it doesn't have to be a chest piece, but if you don't use an auto stim piece, you can use Born Survivor. I use auto stim because it saves me a spot here. Through Hiker's also nice, not necessarily required though. If you want to be more of a sneaky type of character, then I highly suggest doing one of these sneak perks, at least rank 1 maybe. But the best sneak perk is Escape Artist right here. It's only 1 point, and it allows you to essentially go into caution whenever you want. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a fight, just go behind a corner and then re-crouch, like stand up, go back into crouch, and you're back into caution, and then you can get another sneak attack. So even if you don't have any sneak perks like, you know, sneak, escape artist itself is really, really good. Personally, though, I don't really use sneak all that much, so it's not really worth the point to me, but I have occasionally considered putting it on. Mr. Sandman, if you want, you can use this because, you know, silencers, but I don't really use silencers because I like hearing my guns. So yeah, I don't use Mr. Sandman. Now, take a quick look at luck. So, Bloody Mess. This is kind of important, you know, with 15% global damage is pretty nice. It applies to grenades too, so that's nice. If we look at Crit Savvy, this is kind of up to you. I like to do rank 2, rank 1 also works, rank 3 is great. Class Freak. This is very much so an optional thing. Let me show you what mutations I have, though. So go over to effects. So I have Adrenal Reaction, Bird Bones, Eagle Eyes, Egghead. Egghead is an optional one. It's definitely an optional one because it just increases your intelligence. I feel like when Wastelanders comes and they have special checks, having the intelligence would be nice. Plus, having an increased intelligence stat does increase the amount of XP you gain per kill or whatever, so I feel like having, 13 intelligence is kind of nice. Also, I do a little bit of roleplay with this character, you know, more of like a headcanon type roleplay than an actual, like, role-playing with other people, but whatever, just a little fun. So, Egghead is nice, minimal downsides. Electrically Charged. This has no downsides at all, so this is a nice one. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but if you're getting attacked by a level 1 mole rat and you don't want to bother spending ammo on it, this might proc and kill it. So, yeah, there you go. Problem solved. Marsupial. -1 to intelligence. This is because I have a class freak. This is normally, like, what? -4 intelligence, I think? This is a nice one. Adds carry weight and jump height. I feel like this is, like, there are definitely two mutations that are quote-unquote required for endgame. And when I say endgame, I just mean, like, high-level play, and that would definitely be Speed Demon and Marsupial. Without Speed Demon, I feel sluggishly slow, but the real thing that makes it important for end-level play, or end-game play, is because it has that faster reload time effect. That is increasing your ability to fight. So Scaly Skin, this is a defensive mutation. It gets rid of 50 AP, but because of Class Freak, it only gets rid of 12. I'd say that's definitely worth it, especially if you already have a pretty high AP pool. As you can see, I'm just shy of 200. As long as you are not below 150 AP, I think you're okay. So, yeah. Go Wild. Eagle Eyes, crit damage, and +4 perception. I feel like this is a really helpful one, especially for pistol builds, because pistol builds sometimes have a hard time with perception. So, that's an excellent one. Just also the crit damage, it's pretty nice. And then Bird Bones, this is extra agility and reduced fall speed. This isn't, like, you don't think it's going to be that helpful, but then, like, it's kind of noticeable after you start using it for a bit. So yeah, the +4 agility helps me get more action points. So back when I didn't have Class Freak and I had Scaly Skin, I was just around 150 AP because of Bird Bones right here. So yeah, and then Adrenal Reaction. Adrenal Reaction is the reason that I use Mutant's Armor. So I get this question a lot. Why don't I use Vanguard? Because I'm doing a not low health build. Why don't I use Vanguard? Why do I use Mutant's Armor? And that's because I want to be able to control where my health is at more frequently. The second I take damage, Vanguard is becoming less useful. And because I run and gun a lot, I'm always taking damage, so I'm always losing the benefits of Vanguard. I do definitely still think Vanguards is a very good choice. I have a couple Vanguards pieces in my stash that I have used occasionally. So if you have Vanguard's armor, by all means use it. I'm not saying it's bad, but because I want to control where my health is, so I can take advantage of Adrenal Reaction, I use Mutants armor. Also, Mutants armor is pretty cheap. Like, I got this chest piece here. Action point refresh, food, drink, and chem weight reduction, which is really important because I carry too many stim packs. And then the plus 10 resistances. With a full set of mutants, that's 50 resistances. That's just like ironclad. So yeah, that's really, really nice. It's also got similar stats to combat armor. At least the Urban Scout piece has similar stats to combat armor. I don't know what it is, but I just found a lot of mutant stuff in Urban, or not Urban, in Scout armor. Like, I don't know what it is. So yeah, there's that. It's pretty cheap. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm at like 400 damage resistance, which is perfect. And it makes me able to control where my health lies so that I can get the additional damage from adrenal reaction without necessarily dying. As well as, you know, I can also go back up to full health and I can stay kind of at full health. So it's an equal amount of resistance across the board, which is what I appreciate. I appreciate having that consistency. So yeah, Class Freak. That's a nice one if you want a decrease on the negatives of mutations. However, I lived without Class Freak for about a year, so definitely doable. Better criticals. You could honestly not put any points in this as long as you have the Eagle Eye mutation. You'd still be doing some nice crit damage, but I do 2 in here just because I had the 2 extra spots. And then Starch Genes so that we keep our mutations. So yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you guys have a nice day. And let me know if you have any questions or whatever. Yeah. Ciao.